Hello, and welcome to the Black Pine Cooktop. My name is Paul, and today we're going to be turning this $8.39 chuck roast into something amazing I like to call the Charles roast. It's a port wine glaze chuck roast, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's easy thanks to the invention right here called the Instant Pot. It's super fast, and it's amazing, and it really impressed somebody for like a date night or just a nice little dinner party. And if you pair it with something like mashed potatoes, it becomes a super elegant dish that's really appropriate for any sort of occasion. And so let's get started. First, we need to actually go through the ingredients and the tools that we need for this dish though. And so with that, we're ready to start cooking. And if you enjoy this video, please do not forget to press like and subscribe. And I really enjoy making these videos for everybody, so I want to keep continuing to do this. And so that'll help me out quite a lot. And so thank you, and let's get to cooking. So first things first, we're going to salt the chuck roast that we cut into 5 pieces. These pieces are approximately the same size as something you would see in like a short rib. So the salt will bring moisture to the surface and create a nice dry brine. So next, we are going to add oil to our pan and add some celery, some carrots, and some onion. It's about 6 celery stalks, 6 carrots, and 1 onion. And this will form the base of our braising sauce in addition to the port wine. So we want to caramelize these and make them nice and sweet. Really wonderful veggies to add to this. And so in order to do this, you get a pan very, very hot, add some sugar, and you're going to add some salt to this. And as you can see, I was a master of this salt pouring because I made a bit of a mess. I was usually fancying having mise en place, but I forgot to do it this time, so whatever. That's what we get. A little bit more there, and you're good to go. So we're going to stir this around, and we're going to basically stir fry this to saute everything for about 25 to 30 minutes. That's how long it took me. I don't know if it's because this pan is crap and it's too thick for this, but it took a really long time. Probably because there's a lot there too. And you can see that the liquid from the actual veggies kind of draws out during this process. And that's good because it adds to the caramelization, but it's also takes a while to cook that once this happens. So once everything is done to your satisfaction, you're going to add it to an Instant Pot. And you're going to say, hey, Paul, why are you using an Instant Pot instead of a pan? Well, I don't have a lot of time. I work a lot, and I live by myself. So I try to make things as convenient as possible for myself. And this is a nice, easy dish if you use something like an Instant Pot, which is nice. So you're going to make your braising sauce next. And so the base of this is going to be Bin 27 port. This is a ruby port. Now, the thing about ruby port is it's a fortified wine that's very, very sweet. And it's delicious. And so you can make this dish with any wine you want, but I prefer to use a port in this case because I wanted to be a little bit adventurous. I have done this in the past with Cabernet, and it worked really well. I've also done it with Carmenere, which is a Chilean wine that's delicious. And I'm trying it with port. In order to do that, you have to neutralize the sweetness with something acidic, so I use tomatoes. These Pomi chopped tomatoes actually work really well. And they're just tomatoes. There's no preservatives or anything in it, so it's quite wonderful to add to this dish. And so stir it around, and of course, taste it. And so I added a little bit of more port because after I taste it, it needed some more. So always taste your damn food. Add some garlic. Now this is just crushed garlic that I kind of chopped around in my little food processor there. And then add some coriander. Coriander was really good in this dish. I was debating adding cardamom or something like that, but I decided just to leave it with coriander. And then you're going to add some fresh thyme and some fresh rosemary. And so you just take the thyme leaves off by pinching the end and moving your finger down to grab those leaves off. It works pretty well most of the time, but sometimes it doesn't work, so I just left the stalks in there that I grabbed by accident. And same thing with this rosemary. And so stir that around after adding some pepper, of course. Pepper is delicious in everything. This is just a peppercorn medley. I like adding some color to my life, and that's nice. Peppercorn medley is pretty colorful. So we're going to do that until it's nice and done to your satisfaction. This isn't as potent as normal black pepper, so you can be a little forgiving with it. And then add some bay leaves, which I'm actually unsure if they actually do anything. Somebody please tell me if bay leaves do anything. I just add them for completeness. For whatever reason. So after you're done adding the bay leaves and everything else, stir your food. And of course, after you're done stirring everything, taste it. Please, for God's sakes, taste your food. Don't just follow recipes blindly. That's not so good. Taste it. And if it's something that you would still drink in a bar in its current form, then you're doing something right. I mean, it's not something you would go out and search for, but it's still pretty good. You're like, I would still drink that. Okay. Then you're doing pretty good. That's a good start for a braising sauce. And so that's how I personally know that my braising sauce is good to go. And once your braising sauce is good to go, you can go on to the next step, which is searing your beef. So go ahead and bring the beef that's been dry brining over and get your pan ready for it. Heat it up and add a little bit of oil to the pan. Not too much, because of course the beef will produce its own kind of grease. So heat that up and then add the beef. And I kind of did a bad thing here by crowding the pan when I did this because I wanted to do everything in one take. But usually when you do this, you want to have some nice open space. So that way you can really get some heat on there because this meat is kind of going to drain the heat off. And you also want the beef to be at room temperature. And so the goal of this is you're going to sear the outside and try to get a nice crust on there. And you're going to do this on all sides of the beef. Once the crust is there for your satisfaction, add everything to the top of the braising sauce in the Instant Pot. Okay, once that's good to go, turn off the heat on the induction stovetop, and then adjust the time for braising on your Instant Pot and put the lid on. For this particular braise, I did it for 63 minutes. Seemed to be a good number. I've done that before, and it worked really well. It takes forever because you have to do it one at a time. You can see my finger kind of moving there really fast. Took a while, so bear with me. Okay, make sure the vent is closed, and then just let that be. Horns. Always do horns. And so while that's happening, about 30 minutes into the cooking process, you're going to want to start some potatoes. And these are just red potatoes that I've skinned a little bit and left some of the skin on. I basically just cut the roots off the potatoes. You want to leave a little bit of skin because it makes it kind of nice. I like having the skin on there. So once those are done, you want to drain them. And you're going to want to smash them. So you get your fancy potato smasher bit and smash them. So making mashed potatoes is actually quite easy. You're just going to use some milk. This is 2% milk, so add some milk. Swirl them around. Add some more milk. Swirl everything around. Clean up your mess. And get your margarine. I use shed spread for this because that's what I grew up on. It's pretty good stuff. It's called Country Crock. So you add some of that stuff in there and then swirl it around. So you can see we're getting close. Taste it. Add some garlic. Add some salt. And then swirl it around some more. We're actually really close here. Taste it again. And then add some more margarine. Swirl it around. Taste it again. We're good to go. So set those aside, get them ready to go. So you're going to want to vent the Instant Pot after a 15-minute natural release, and then take off the lid. And you are greeted with these awesome smells and this amazing beef with this awesome braising sauce that's kind of come together as the Instant Pot has done its magic. So you're going to take out the beef. Now the beef is really fragile in this state, so be really careful. As I was taking these pieces of beef out, they were actually starting to come apart, and you got to be careful with that. And you were greeted with this amazing beef, which is awesome, and this awesome braising sauce that's left over. And it's got veggies and herbs and things in it. It's wonderful. You don't want this to go to waste. So what do you do with it? You boil it off a little bit, and you turn it into a glaze by adding cornstarch. And so one thing that I learned here is if you don't want to have any of the alcohol left over from the port wine after it's been in the Instant Pot, boil this for a little bit, and it'll boil off a lot of that alcohol. So you're going to add some of this cornstarch slurry, which is just cornstarch and water, and it'll thicken everything up and turn it into this beautiful glazed gravy thing, which is awesome. And we're going to use that to pour over this entire dish, and it's going to be wonderful. It's going to add some flavor, and it's going to be basically a gravy, and it's great. So grab your square plates always, and get your mashed potatoes. Now, in order to make it fancy, I put the mashed potatoes in a form. And this form is just something I got at Bed Bath & Beyond for like $2. It's just like a muffin pan or something. You're going to plop it down in the center of the plate, just like that. And you are greeted with this wonderful form of potatoes. Next, we're going to grab the prettiest piece of beef that we can find, which is the top right here, and put it on the top there, just like that. Hopefully it's cool enough to grab with your hands like it was for me. Smash it down a little bit more, and add some of this wonderful veggies and braising sauce mixture, and just pour it over the top. Move around a little bit. Just don't pour it completely over the top. You want it to be nice and pretty and spread around the entire thing. And so that's what we got there. It came out quite wonderful. One fancy edit later, you serve a perfect Charles roast. It came out so good. I was really happy with this. The port was very sweet, but it came out very savory with the addition of the tomatoes and the herbs and the beef. And when I tasted it, it was extremely tender and extremely savory, just where I wanted it. It was perfect, and I loved it.